amazing Women Speak podcast, inspiring and motivating every Black woman to own, honor, and execute her amazing individually and collectively as it was established at birth.
Welcome to the show on this dreary Sunday evening. Thank you all for joining us. I am Crystal Gunn, financial strategist, founder of the Amazing Women Network, and host of Amazing Women Speak. I'm pretty excited about this show today. We're going to get down into unpacking some more bullshit, if you will. But before we get started, let's see who we have with us today.
Good evening and welcome back for another edition, as the BFF said, to unpack some more bullshit. I'm excited to be here in this space with you all. My name is Michele Harper. I am the owner and operator of Agency Fitness, where we invite you and challenge you to own your agency without apology. Excited to have another voice in the room tonight. Please, Fajr, come on in and introduce yourself.
Hello, everybody. Happy Sunday on a Jury Sunday. I am Fajr Strong, jack of all trade, master of all of them, I guess you could say.
Come on.
But in terms of my professional roles, project management and data analyst. And I'm here to talk about the bullshit.
All right.
I love it. So before we get into this, let's frame this up just a little bit. So often we hear people say, you have to be humble, or someone does an acceptance speech and they talk about, thank you, but they also talk about how humble they are. And I started to pay attention and was like, what is this thing with us proclaiming to be so humble, and why is it? And I'm a firm believer in what you say and how you say it impacts your life, right? And so if you know me, you know I'm a lover of words. So let's start this off with the definition of humble, and you'll understand, or you'll start to understand, why I think we should claim a whole lot of things, but humble isn't one of them. And so if we look at dictionary.com, says the definition of humble is not proud or arrogant, modest, having a feeling of insignificance, inferiority, subservience, low rank, importance, status, quality. As a verb, it's to lower in condition, importance, or dignity, to destroy the independence, power, or will of. And then the Cambridge definition is not proud or not believing that you are important, poor or of a low social rank, ordinary, not special, or very important. I don't claim none of that. Like, my whole bunch of stuff, but humble is definitely not one of them. But before we kick this conversation off, just want to talk about the sponsor so that I don't forget. Again, it is the Amazing Woman Network, and it's I have on our signature shirt today. I'm going to post the link. Please go shop in the comments in a minute. But everything in our retail line is for the person that's wearing it and the person that sees them wearing it. It's a reminder of just how amazing you are.
Right.
And absolutely not humble. Right. And we have to know and understand our amazing was established at birth. It didn't arrive today with titles, with money, and what other people believe about us. Our amazing absolutely was established at birth. So let's get started with unpacking this bullshit of being humble.
Right. So when we started thinking about this conversation, I was drawn to make sure that I was thinking in the right spaces about what it means to be humble. And so I had to make sure also that I was aligned with his word. So I went to the Bible. 6 times it talks about humbling yourself. And I promise you, the only requirement was to humble yourself before God.
Come on, say that again.
The fact that we humble ourselves before man is something we've been socialized to do. And so it's time to unpack why we feel that's necessary, and most importantly, how to break the bullshit bar around needing to be humble and walk into spaces absolutely owning you're amazing, walking into spaces and acknowledging that the space just got better because you were there. So what does it mean? Fajr, come on in here. When they talk about being humble, what comes up for you?
Saying less and not owning who you are. Being quiet until you have the opportunity or you're told to speak. Not shining. You can see me in the parking lot when I pull off, sort of thing. So to me, being humble, I don't know if that coincides with humility. I've never understood the two, or if they are the same things. And then from my perspective about being humble is how we're supposed to be Midwesterners and we're not supposed to have this bravado. But I never understood why we should not have bravado if that is who we are. I never understood that. It's literally when I found out we were talking about this, I didn't even know where to begin to even try to process how to break this down. My thing is, are we now genetically coded with this bullshit mechanism in our DNA?
100%.
So do we start? Okay, so I just throw a plate of spaghetti at the wall and start there?
Sure.
Do it.
Okay. Well, I'm down with that. I'm down with that. And then also being humble, you may miss out on opportunities that can change your life and your families just by being humble, because that's what we were told to do.
Right.
In our community as well.
Correct, right? So in so many spaces, we see our counterparts, and especially men, they'll walk into a space with no knowledge, no experience, and own the room, right? Like with full entitlement. And we, especially as Black women, feel like we have to have all of the knowledge, all of the answers, all of the resources before we'll even lean in at the table, right? Like if we get bold enough to even sit at the table, we'll sit back and wait to be invited in, right? That's that humble bullshit.
That's it.
That will make you feel less than in your own space where you know, right, that you've got the answers, the resources, the knowledge to get it done. And yet we've been socialized into our silence.
And I don't think, I do want to say this part. I don't think that people are being humble because they're insecure. I think it's the socialization that has been passed down from generation to generation, because remember, there were times where you couldn't look your counterparts in the eye. You couldn't speak. It was, we need you to be seen and not heard. Right. And so I again don't think it's, someone just is insecure about who they are, but it's that socialization of, shh, you got to wait until someone asks you to speak, or you can't. There's also a thing that people think, and I'm sure someone out there is saying it, arrogance is not the opposite of humble.
Right.
So I can say, I'm dope, like I'm amazing, and it doesn't mean I'm arrogant. If I've done this thing, if I've created this thing, if I know, there's this whole thing on social media talking about know your worth. But if I know my worth, am I then gonna be humble with it? I'm not being arrogant with it, but I know how dope I am. Why is it that I just absolutely can't say that?
Right. So what are the spaces that you show up where you've recognized that being humble in this moment isn't going to serve my worth, isn't going to serve my legacy? What are those spaces?
Work, my job, career. Being a Black woman in corporate America, attempting or being successful at climbing a ladder is a chore. I have been in situations where I know I'm way more qualified than my superior. And I'm like, how in the world, how did you get here?
How did you get
How
here?
did you get here? Like, seriously, what you do to get here? Okay, and when you are trying to articulate how to possibly handle something from a different perspective, or my experience, you're like punished for that. I hate to say that word, not to be so dramatic, but it's difficult being the smartest person in the room, and you have to be humble. It's painful. And that makes me think: is this generational? Are we the last generation, Generation X? Because we do exist. Are we the last to be like this? Because we are a spinoff of our parents and their parents, the silent generation, boomers who had to deal with racism, colorism, black women. We're one of the first. We're like really benefiting from what our parents did, because some of our parents stayed at home. My mother was a working mother. And then, of course, I went into the workforce. But we were told to be humble. We were told to wait. We were told your chance will come, which is absolutely mind-blowing. So I think we start with, by teaching, spreading the word, and ending the suffering of being humble. Because, wow, it is some bullshit. It is some bullshit. Definitely. So I think for me, my space is work.
Okay. Yeah. So we all have a story, right, around that. So Facebook, we invite you into the conversation. Drop your thoughts into the chat. If you have questions, we absolutely will respond to them. It is important to pay attention to the ways that you're showing up and the ways that you are holding on to the very thing that could be a game changer for whatever project you're on, but most importantly for yourself. Taking that risk, recognizing that being humble is the opposite thing of what you want to do. None of us woke up today to be average. And when we continue to sit in silence and sit and refuse to allow your greatness into the space because somebody told you needed to wait, no, my friend, the world needs more of what you have. And acting as if we need to be humble is not the answer.
What do you miss out on, too, because you are showing up with this humble and meek spirit? What do you miss out on? Like the opportunity, the promotion, the gig, the raise.
And it's not necessarily all about monetary
True.
or money or status or position. What about life lessons?
Right.
What about taking a trip? You could have missed out on the trip to Fiji or Micronesia, or just learning how to tie your shoe differently, or meeting someone new, expanding your network, because you do not want to feel like you are. Another reason why I think we humble ourselves is because we don't want to seem like we're bragging. We don't want to come across as we're, oh, she thinks she. Like, that was a mantra for a lot of us. Oh, she thinks she. So we kowtow to that.
Correct.
And we put ourselves in a position where we feel like we do not deserve it, as opposed to we actually do deserve it. And what I've also been seeing in the social media sphere is, it is not my fault that you're uncomfortable with my greatness.
Absolutely.
Or you're basic. So you're saying I'm extra because you're basic. And that resonates with me. We can go all the way back to, middle school. I was the extra girl in the room, but I didn't know that it was okay to be the extra girl in the room because of the wardrobe or what my mama put on my back, or the confidence I had because I drew a better rose in sixth grade art than you did. I mean, little things like that that stick with you that you don't have the language to comprehend, or we don't have the conversation. Black women rarely have the conversation of being the greatest or being great or celebrating our greatness at this level with the word bullshit. Hello. With the word bullshit.
And you brought that thing up about, and you did it so well, oh, she thinks she, right? And I remember being at Michigan State, and the other chick said about us, right? Oh, they just think they. And I'll never forget, our homeboys was like, no, y'all just think they. It's not them. Like, they cool. It's y'all that got a problem with them. And it's that thing, and it's like, sit at a table full of winners, and that way what you have done and accomplished doesn't seem like you're bragging when you talk about it. So it's just like, my daughter asked about what the show was going to be about. And when I told her, she said, And then I read her the definition of humble, and she was like, oh yeah, no, I'm not that. And I'm like, exactly. Because we didn't raise her to be humble. Speak your truth. I think also part of that being humble, you don't speak your truth in a lot of places.
But we can be graceful. That's where it comes in at. We don't have to be humble, but be tactful.
Oh, for sure.
Be graceful. And take the opportunity to educate the person without scolding them. Because how do you translate that? We keep
Right.
coming back to this point right here. How do you translate not dealing with the bullshit or the word humble? And it's like now I don't care for the word right now. You know what I'm saying? Now that I'm getting into it, I don't care for the word. It's like a real evolution going on right now.
I love it.
Yeah,
I
'cause
absolutely
that's
love it.
exactly why we do and have these shows.
So I
for
want
that
to invite
evolution.
in a voice from Facebook. Even better, not calling out corporate America when our ideas are executed without our recognition. Just being humble by being part of the team is that bullshit,
It
right?
is.
Oh wow!
Right.
Yes, that team factor,
Right.
that team quoting TQ. It's some bullshit.
Yeah, you got to be a part of the team.
Why?
Right? When it was my idea.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And that's part of that. I think it shows up when just that whole meek and humble. No, it was my idea. Give me my credit. And how often do we sit at that table and have not? They just want to glaze over your credit. They want to give credit to everybody else for their accomplishments. But when it comes to you, this black woman sitting at this table and it's done so much, they don't want to give you
Right.
that same.
I'm done paying my dues, right? It'll be your turn. No. If it's accessible to all of us, I'm reaching. And shame on you when you didn't reach first, right? So quit feeling like we have to have permission. Again, I'm going to remind us, the only place we're required to be humble is before God. Everybody else got to get in line to what's about to happen, because we're going to change the game, change the narrative. We're responsible for each other as black women, especially. And if I'm not role modeling what it's like to show up and set that thing called humble aside and demonstrate what it is to use my power and my ability to shift a room, shame on me. I pay attention to legacy before anything else, before wealth, before fame. It's got to be, I'm thinking about legacy and making sure that when my daughters show up in a space, they feel empowered, emboldened, required.
Leverage.
Come on.
Leverage.
Right?
Leverage. I'm proud of where we are right now. And I don't like to speak in future tense. Actually, all this is happening right now. I speak in present tense. So black women have already changed this particular field of activity.
For sure.
We're always in front of the firearms. We're always the first to run out the front house of the house and be scrapping in the middle of the street for our child. It's always us first. I think the difference is now we're coming for ours. Oh, we're here. Now we're knocking at the door. Give me mine. I want it now. I don't want it yesterday.
Later.
I'm not waiting
Till tomorrow.
I want it now.
In this moment.
Because you didn't wait to ask me to do this for you. So why should I wait to reap the benefit of my hard work? I'm not waiting right now. I'm proud of us that we are moving forward, and I just think that just give us our just dues.
Right? We're not asking for nothing we didn't earn.
Just give us our just dues right now.
So
Period.
another voice from Facebook. Confidence and cocky get confused all the time. Being confident does not make you cocky, and there's nothing wrong with being confident. Right?
Nothing.
Right?
There's nothing wrong with being confident, whether you find that confidence in being body positive, or you are in front of the pulpit if you're able, or you're having a brunching and you're setting an example. Wherever you can get in, wherever your space is, that's where I think we should unleash it. And we do get cocky and confident mixed up.
Right?
Or confused, or it's not a generic term. They're not the same thing.
No,
Right.
they're not.
They're not the
Right.
same thing.
All right, you should be so confident that when you walk into a room, there should be a shift
In the energy. Come on. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Should be a shift in the energy without apology. And we keep apologizing for the thing that we know is in us. I'm not apologizing for my greatness at all.
And I'm not apologizing that you can't receive it.
Correct.
I'm not doing that.
Correct. I'll help you figure your stuff out if
Right.
you need me to.
Yeah.
Well, I
But
have
what
a
I'm not
question.
going to do is own it for you.
So are we responsible for delivering that information, and are we responsible for how they receive the information? Or are we supposed to just throw the seed and let them till the land? Like, how far does our responsibility go with this?
So give your mantra.
Yeah. Right? My mantra is give them all they can handle, let them choke on the rest.
Oh, my. Okay.
Right? If I'm in the company of young black women, I know it's my opportunity to plant, and maybe I have to toil.
Mm-hmm.
But if I'm in the right company of strong black women teaching young women, all I have to do is plant. I guarantee somebody else at the table is going to toil.
Oh, okay.
And we're going to watch God give all of the increase, right?
Right.
When I'm in front of some other folks, right, like I'm going to drop a seed, if your soil is not fertile for this, that's on you. I'm not
Okay.
here to help you figure that out.
That's okay.
And it's not my responsibility. It's not my responsibility to help you figure it out.
Really?
No.
I think that's where that's where my humble comes from, because I think a lot of us want to fix the problem. We want to introduce you to the solution, then teach you and try to fix the problem. When, listen,
That's that black woman bullshit. How many folks are coming in to help you figure it out?
girl, goodbye.
Okay.
No,
All right.
Not one,
Just a
right?
no,
question.
not one.
Yeah.
Right?
Not one.
But
And
we
then-
feel responsible.
We do. And ladies, stop it. Stop.
Today.
And it's okay. You know, my mom told me, she said, sometimes in life, Fajr, you got to be a little bit selfish.
Oh, absolutely.
Sometimes you got to, and then a good friend of mine, who is my ex-husband, but a good friend, we were talking one day, and he was like, Fajr, if the plane is coming down, it's about to crash, and the oxygen mask comes out of the ceiling, who are you gonna put who are you gonna take care of first? And I was like, I'm gonna put the mask on me first. He was like, sometimes you got to take care of yourself first before you can help someone else. And I tend to forget that. I tend to forget that I can't help you if I can't help myself. I can't help you see the bullshit if I'm swimming in it knee deep.
How about it?
And that's that thing that has been passed down from generation to generation. We've seen, mom, grandma, great grandma take care of everybody else and do everything for everybody else. And then somewhere at the end of the day, maybe she has a couple minutes where she does something for herself.
So was Jada wrong about saying you got to put you first? Because that was controversial when she said that.
You have to. If I don't take care of me, how do I take care of you?
Right, it's
We
time
don't
to
take
change
care of
the
ourselves.
narrative. We don't. Yeah, and we've talked about self-care. We don't. Yeah, we got to change that narrative. So, ladies, I want to put a question in front of us from Facebook. Whew. Why is it that we as black women on the job don't embrace and uplift each other? I find this to be upsetting, and this makes others look at us in a bad light. Right? Like if we aren't already struggling, the fact that we would sit in a room with each other and not uplift, right? Yeah, that's that internalized racial oppression where we live and show up in a way that we've been socialized to show up that would say, I got mine, now you go get yours.
Get it how you live. It goes back to my experience and where the work begins is at work. Being around women, black women in particular, who, and this is real life experience that I've had more than once. If I have a superior and she is a black woman, I'm terrified because sometimes black
Wow.
women should not be in a position of leadership. Because you have to put how you feel about someone personally to get the job done. It's difficult because that person or my superior may be working out of bias. I'm not the girl who stole your boyfriend on the playground. And I'm sorry. And because you are traumatized by that, you bring it into the folds of work, and it's affecting our relationship. Which means that you have to, and black women, if we are leaders in corporate America, we are in a fishbowl. And
Right.
everybody's watching us. Please believe that
Right.
we're being watched.
Right. Mhm.
How we show up for work. Leave it at the door. Ignore the noise. Come to work dressed to the nines and perform and unify. Period.
So let's take it back. Part of it, though, is that survival strategy, living in that survival mode, though. Because think back, all the way back to, okay, on that plantation, I am in. Well, it probably wouldn't have been me, but in the big house, there's only so many people that can work there.
Right.
So I can't let you I can't befriend you because you might get my position. So it's the same thing in corporate America. We know we're gonna only have so many people in management that look like us. So you're gonna have those that says I'm gonna open the door and I'm gonna hold it open for everybody that comes in and looks like me. But then you're gonna have those who say, well, wait a minute, I see your greatness. I don't want you to get my job.
Right.
So then I have to
Right.
suppress you, keep you down. Oh, they all right. They not that great. And that's that bullshit.
That's that bullshit, right? So if you are a black woman out there in corporate America, I don't know, you don't even have to be in corporate America. If you sit in a decision-making seat of any kind, owning your own business, it is your responsibility
It is.
to make space for the next black woman. If you are not, the only thing you've done is made a space for somebody else who will not
Make space.
for you. Right?
Right.
And in a heartbeat would kick you out of your space.
Or thrown under the bus, as we say.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Or constantly remind you that they gave you that seat. Ladies, we have to change the narrative around that. We are living in times where we could really seize an opportunity, right? The more times we have these kind of conversations, the more times we help write the language that changed the narrative. We get one step closer. And sometimes it feels like that's a really small step, but progress moves forward at all levels of progression. And so we just have to pay attention to that. If you're one of those, stop it. If you have not made space, if you not have embraced, uplifted, and help another black woman shine, stop it.
And every generation, this thing was designed, every generation is supposed to take us further than the generation before. So again, yeah, we have that responsibility to train those people in those positions so that they are being elevated and pushed forward. If you're not, just go home, because I think in that instance, you're worse than the oppressor. You're worse than the person that doesn't look like me, because I understand why the person that doesn't look like me doesn't want me to have a position. I understand why they don't want to help me. I get it. But I can't understand why you won't help me. And you look just like me.
Yeah. Again, do some research. Not again. Do some research. Internalized racial oppression. Look that up in what it means, that we continue to live out the ways in which we've been socialized instead of changing the narrative and recognizing that when we do that, we are acting as the oppressor of our own people. Ladies, get your foot off her neck. Pull her up, invite her in, and watch what happens.
So I was thinking about this on the way here, and I'm going to ask you to share your story, because it was just true and dynamic with the, oh, well, here's the salary. And you was like, yeah, I can't. because it's a real life example of, because you could have been humble and said, okay, I'm just going to take this, right? Because it's a great opportunity. Could you please just tell us? Because it was beautiful. Like
it's the textbook of that bullshit where you want me to not be humble and accept this thing you're calling gratitude. So I had an opportunity it's actually the job I'm in now.
Oh, wow.
I left state government after 24 years of employment. And this was a really lengthy job process, right? And I wasn't unhappy with my job. I loved the work that I was doing. For those who don't know, I am the director of diversity, now with Evident Change. Was doing that job inside of state government, saw myself retiring. I got an invite to apply for this job. Wasn't looking for it. So just for entertainment, I applied. I was curious. They were doing a national search, and I was curious as to how I show up compared to other people across the country applying for this job. So I threw my name in the ring. Went through this process. Up front, they asked you, what's your salary? I gave it, right? Like knowing my worth, knowing what I bring to the table. I put it out there. It's for you to do something with, right? So we keep going through interviews. We never talk about salary. We get to the offer. Now, mind you, let me say, I put the top of the salary range on the job posting. Like, I want the very top of what you're offering. Get to the offer after 5 months worth of interviews, and they offer me less than I was currently making. And so I said to the woman, I said, oh, and she said, well, why don't you take the weekend to think about it?
How don't they think about that?
And I said, nope, I don't need the weekend. She was like, nope, take the weekend and mull it over and come back with your counter. I said, I don't need to do that either. I told you what I wanted when I applied for the job. And if that was not within your range, you could have told me that months ago. But I know my worth. I know what I bring to the table, and I know what I can do in these spaces. I'm not settling for anything other than. So she said, it's usually the responsibility of the entire board, but ultimately it is my decision to make. I said, you go back and talk to your board. My number's unfixed. I mean, my number's fixed. It shall not change.
You take the weekend and mull it over because
Right? You go back and talk to your people.
That was a poor sales strategy that she tried to implement on you.
Right? This number is less than I make right now. Why in the world what do I need to think about? No. No, thank you.
Was it? I can't even. What?
No, thank you.
Right.
That part right there, right? They thought. So now it's time to play a different kind of ball, right? Not only do I want this salary, I want this and I want this. How bad do you want my greatness at your table?
Right.
Needless to say, I work for them now.
Okay.
with everything that you asked
Without
for.
apology.
Yeah.
Give them all they can handle. Let them choke on the rest.
You can't walk into a space and be humble when, I mean, think about it. Especially in the job market, they don't want to offer you at the top. They want to get you for the least amount of money they can get you for.
Right.
I mean,
I'm not mad at that.
Exactly.
Right?
That's how you play the game. I don't want to go pay full price for anything that I buy. I want the sale price. Right? So I get it. That's business. That's the strategy. But how many people, and for those that are listening, if you were in that same situation, how many people would have accepted less? Maybe not necessarily less than what you made. Had they come back and said, well, we'll match what you currently make, how many people would have said,
right,
okay, I'll take that?
Right.
Because one thing that black women don't do enough of is they don't do negotiations on their salary.
We do not.
Whatever they offer you, too often you tend to accept that first offer. No.
I think the tides are changing, though.
Good.
Yeah, I hope.
Right?
Again, I speak in present.
Yeah.
It's happening.
Mm-hmm.
It may not be happening with our group, our age group, per se, but it's definitely happening.
I would agree.
These younger women out here are coming for all the bags, all the coins on the floor.
And
if there's money on the floor, they're picking it up.
Yeah.
And we have a lot to learn from them.
We do.
I will never go into a position and I'm going to negotiate. And this is before this was trending. You're going to pay me my worth. One thing I am not afraid to do, I will say, I don't know if this coincides, the bullshit, yes, I have been a part of that. But what corporate America is intimidated by is an assertive black woman. Mm-hmm. She is the enemy of the state. If you know you are confident, you believe you are confident, you did your homework, or if you're one of those type of you're a sage in progress, and you can walk in and say, hey, I know I'm the bomb, and there's nothing you can do about it. It's you gonna give me this money or not? It's so interesting how we can go in and negotiate a hookup from your friend that owns a business. Okay, we can go. Hey, girl, I'm coming through. Can you? But you can't go into Saks, Neiman Marcus. You can't go into corporate America and take those same skill sets that you have when trying to negotiate with your friend, a small business that's trying to survive and compete. But you won't do that with corporate America or the job that you want. It doesn't have to be corporate America. It could be healthcare. It could be, you want to be a registered nurse and you're an administrator, but you're not going to go and negotiate your salary, but you're going to ask for a hookup. Stop it. Stop it. As a matter of fact, you should be going in and that's, I understand this is I'm tangentizing here, but two parts here. Terry Bradshaw tie. So if I'm going into my friend's business and I'm asking for a hookup, Don't do that, and business owners understand customer service. And that's a whole nother conversation, but I had to put that out there. Because what that would do is stop the bullshit.
It would.
Offer customer service or client service for return business, which will then generate more money in the community, which will then give us more position to have leverage and negotiate. And then we can walk in with some confidence. And it starts in the hood. It starts with self. So, okay, I'm going to give you as much as I can. The rest, y'all can choke on it. I get that. But where do we start?
With self.
Yeah, so don't be afraid to walk in and negotiate. Black women in particular, do not be afraid of your talents and your gift, and be assertive. If something is on fire, then fire. Call it what it is, and stand in your truth, and don't be afraid, and don't settle for less, because we do that a lot, and I'm sick of that.
So we have a Facebook. Someone on Facebook who's real good at this. She recognizes this was more than just the monetary coin, right? She was like, her last negotiation was great. She got salary, equipment, vacation, vehicles, and credit cards.
Come on. That's right.
Right?
That's right.
Right?
Because it's available. They got it. Somebody else got that same package. They just didn't offer it to you.
Right.
So go in and ask for it. Go in and ask for it.
Stop thinking you don't deserve.
Say that again.
Isn't that simple, though?
It is just that simple. Closed mouths don't get fed, and no never killed anyone.
And no eventually means yes, somewhere else.
Somewhere else. And like you said, this younger generation, they get it. They're like, yeah, I'm done with you. I'm going over here because over here is offering me, right? And I think it is harder for our generation to step up and release what has been pushed on us for years. I think it's difficult. I know even for me, it took me a while to speak to and stand in my gifts. Like I say it now, like I'm super dope. Like I don't have any problem with it now, but there was a time when I was like, okay, I have these gifts and these talents, but do I just go out there and say that I have these gifts and talents, or do I just let people see them, or do they see? It was that whole back and forth. So I think for some, there's a process that you have to step up and step into your greatness and own it. You gotta absolutely own your amazing.
Yeah, the storm that happened when you said it and the world acknowledged it. At the same time. Right? Never allow somebody else to see the greatness in you that you aren't willing to own and operate from. And when those two come together,
ooh, baby,
forced to be reckoned with, without apology. Without apology.
Hands up.
Right? Not apologizing for this greatness. So when you start to think about the messaging, right, in your community, with family, on our jobs, how do we encourage others to live into that? How do we give them words to try it on, right? Because it's that first time that really feels sometimes paralyzing, like you feel like you've got to do this balancing act. And we always will tilt to the side of silence and practicing humility and being humble before we'll reach. What's the conversation like?
Start the conversation where you are, like we're starting a conversation where we are. Mm-hmm. It's like, again, it's just so easy to talk about trivial things when it's just as easy to talk about and make it exciting about being great, about loving, self-love, about understanding your value, your power, your input, and being graceful about it. We can sit down and kowtow and gossip and give the tea about everything else. I don't see why we can't apply that same emotion or strategy to what we're talking about with other women. And right. Again, I think that we are doing that. It's just the numbers need to be greater. We can't stop. The key is just being consistent. That's the key to me.
Right.
It's consistency. Let's just keep talking about it until it's nothing to talk about it. I mean, it's not that hard to talk about anymore because we talk about it so much. And because we're consistent.
And check your tribe. If those
Absolutely.
that are closest to you aren't speaking life into you, stop speaking to them so much. Right? It's just like I'm gonna tell you how great and how dope I think you are. I'm definitely going to do that. But if you're doing that and pouring that into someone else, and they just cannot wrap their head around being able to pour that into you.
But the teacher will show up when you're ready.
Absolutely.
We
The
don't
teacher
always
appears when the
have to
student's
give
ready.
up on our friends. We can park them,
For sure.
but we don't have to give up on them. And I agree that where's our level of accountability?
So accountability
It's a
with
fine
self.
line.
Or
Fine line, we're right.
Okay, so if I'm coming to you and I'm saying, hey, sis, ABC 1, 2, 3, I am being accountable for myself. I am taking some of my energy and I'm going to pour it into you.
now, what's my responsibility in that?
Hopefully,
No, if you were saying that to me, you did what you were supposed to do.
Right.
Now, what's my responsibility?
to take it and run with it.
Right.
And if you
And
don't,
when she doesn't,
you're going to have to get parked. Because again, that lesson will come up when you're ready.
When you're ready.
When you're ready.
You planted the seed.
Right. But I'm not going to till the land.
no,
I'm going to go ahead and park you right over there.
right?
Yeah.
Somebody else will come along.
Because somebody will come along.
Somebody once said to me, this was some years ago, and this was actually a guy, but and it was this very type of conversation. And I said, well, what do you do with those people? And he said, they're my drinking buddies. He said, I know I'll come around in 6 months. We'll have drinks. They'll be in the same place. And he was like, I don't throw them away, but we can't do business. We can't grow together because they want to be right there. And those type of people wind up wearing you out, right? They suck up your energy on the bullshit, and they stay right. I had someone call me. This has almost been for 2 years. If you call me and you ask me, I'm gonna plug you. I'm gonna whatever it is. I'm gonna talk you off the ledge. I'm gonna give you the ideas. It's just who I am, right? And now you have to do your thing with it. And then now we're a year later and you have the same question in the same conversation. Okay, I'm going to give it to you one more time. And now you come back a year later and then I have to say, hey, I'm going to tell you this time, but we're not having this conversation again because we're now on the third time. You have to do the part that I keep telling you the same thing. You're not doing it. And now it's up to you. I've done my part, but we can't keep circling back here.
Jay Electronica said, I think I'm paraphrasing, he said, you can pray in church, but the work is done on the outside. Period. Or God helps the child that got his own, or, get off your butt and get out there and go get it. However you comprehend what we're saying, at the end of the day, and I don't like that phrase, but at the end of the day, you got to do the work.
You got to do the work.
You got to be accountable for your crew. I don't want you to fish for me. Please, you got to teach me how to fish so we can feed the whole village. And then, guys, in war, there's cannon fodder. There's infantry. Some are going to fall to the wayside. And that's just life. Mm-hmm. But the ones that you can teach, bring them with you. Because I truly believe that our generation did a phenomenal job, because look at where the young black women of today are.
Absolutely.
So let's start there.
And we can learn so much from them.
Let's start there.
As opposed to, I see a lot of, not so much our generation, but the generation before us trying to correct the generations that have come after us.
Ooh.
Right. And they, air quotes around correct, because it's just like my daughter said the other day, and she said, you don't have to like it. She says, but you don't get to just be rude because you're old. She was like, that's not, you don't have to agree with what this person is doing, but that's how they're living their life. That's how they're doing their thing. So that older generation has to stop trying to correct that younger generation and let them lead the way that they are supposed to lead. And we need to learn from them.
Yeah, absolutely.
We've got to learn from
Oh,
them.
my stars. And they can learn from the generation after them.
Absolutely.
This is a precedented time for right now, because there are 5 generations that are alive right now. And that has never happened in history. We got the silent generation, the baby boomers, Gen X, Gen Z, Gen Y, and alphas, babies who are already coming out coding.
Oh my
right?
God. Yeah.
So we have a lot to learn, but with all that being said, we still have to hold ourselves responsible and go back to the topic of this podcast today. And I'm so happy to be here because I never thought about that word within that context of how I'm doing myself a disservice by being humble when I'm the shit.
Absolutely.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
So there's a confidence conversation, right? Like that needs to be had. Everybody has a gift. God didn't leave any of us barren in that way.
Right.
You just have to find what that thing is. Go on an exploration and find that thing and do that thing until it builds your confidence that it opens doors to all the other things. And I promise you, it will change the game for you. Like my youngest daughter will call me and ask me about something about her vehicle, right? Never been under engine a day in my life, ever. She has a very active father, much like your ex-husband, one of my best friends, right? So it's not like she doesn't have that line. And I was like, why are you calling me? And she said, Mom, because you know everything.
Or you're the Google. You're the Google.
She believes I know everything because when I speak in spaces, especially when she's present, that confidence comes in the room before I do.
Hello.
Right? Like, get ready because here it comes. You begin to feel that energy shift, right? And so it also challenges me to continue to stretch and grow and learn more so that I have some more of the answers, right? It's that confidence work. I found out what I was good at, and I did that thing over and over again and watched it creep out in other spaces. And when you start talking from that space, the world is yours, and we're not going to apologize for it. Not one more day.
Not one more.
Stop it. The world gets better when you open your mouth, ladies. The situation gets resolved when you decide that your voice matters in that conversation. It will not get better. Don't walk away from a situation and say, I wish I had a said, or I wish I had a done. That's that bullshit.
Nobody's coming to save us, ladies.
They're not. No one's coming to save us. No one's coming to save us. And you said a very important part, I think, and it was everyone was given a gift, and when you find out what that gift or gifts are, and you nurture them, right? And I remember there was a time I took an assessment, and it tells you what your 5 things that you're naturally great at, and I read the list and was like, what am I supposed to do with any of these?
Right.
Like, what is this, right? And then some years later, when I picked it up, it was like intellection, connectedness, and I was like, oh, damn. All of these things are the reason and why I'm so good at everything that I do right now. I believe we're all connected. If you do good, I do good. So I'm going to make sure that I can empower, uplift, inspire. And so I had to step into that and realize, well, damn, I am really kind of dope, right? Like, I really am. And I had a conversation with somebody like 2 weeks ago. And after the conversation, she did a post on Facebook and said, a 1 hour conversation with Crystal Gunn will change your life.
Oh, my.
And it sure in the hell will, because I am.
Come on.
That is who I am. But I went in and I said, how do I become better at these things that are naturally, that are my natural gifts and talents? And I think when we pay attention to those, and so don't go around being confident and you don't have your shit together. Like, don't do that.
That is arrogance.
That's arrogance.
Right.
Right? That's arrogance. And for those that don't know, y'all know I got the definition of that too. Having or revealing an exaggerated sense of one's own importance or abilities. Please don't do that, right? Hone your skills, know what they are, and then walk into that room in confidence. And again, that energy shows up before you do, and people recognize it. And those that are supposed to be attracted to it,
Right.
will be.
Right.
And that's who you concern yourself with.
Oh, wow.
Not those that can't breathe because
about
you've
it?
entered the space.
How about it? So I have to get this last comment in here as we begin to wrap up. Part of the problem is due to our conditioning. Some sisters, not sisters, come on now, are quick to assume an ulterior motive when another sister offers support or pays a compliment. Mindset is everything, right? Don't be that girl.
And self-hate is
can't.
real.
Oh, absolutely.
Look yourselves in a mirror. Don't be afraid to look yourself in the face and get real with yourself. You have to get real with yourself because you do not want to be that person that everybody knows who you are, but you don't know who you are.
Right.
So look in the mirror and deal with it. Deal with the ugly, deal with the uncomfortable, deal with the low self-esteem. We don't have time for that anymore. You will get dropped off and nobody's coming to pick you back up because that's where we are right now. But I say that with love.
Absolutely. Right. Accept the compliment. Accept the compliment.
And give the compliment.
And give it.
Because when you start to give them,
I love it. I love doing that.
yeah, when you start to give them and you see somebody, to people that you don't know, like give the compliment. They have on something that you like, tell them how beautiful they are. It is a wonderful and freeing thing.
Right.
Yeah.
It costs you how much?
Nothing.
Right. Costs
But
you
you'll
nothing.
gain,
But you'll gain
everything.
everything.
Yeah.
Well, that's right.
You will gain everything. So I thank you. I do have one last question for you. Growing up in the household in which you grew up in, how did, and now you look back on this whole thing about being humble, like, what would your dad say?
Ooh. Right. I don't even like. He would really say, "Stop the bullshit." You know, you're better than that. I honestly think my father would tell me that because of what I come from, because it is expected of me to know where I come from and never forget who I am. So he'll be like, "Fajr, get off that bullshit." That's That's exactly what my dad would say. That was a great question.
What would Aaron say?
Oh, where is Miles with that roll of toilet paper towel for the tears? So anybody that knows me knows I'm absolutely a daddy's girl. And him not being here has forever changed my life. It upped my game to make sure that all of the spaces that I was in, that little Aaron, as he would call me from time to time, folks in that space would know that I have been there, right? Like, that's important to me, that I know that he's proud in all of the things that I've done and all of the ways that I've showed up. Baby girl, just getting started. Just getting started. Yeah.
That's right.
So in the room of compliments, I need to give you this one. Because of you, Crystal, I am accepting I am dope and amazing. Right?
Yes, you are. I absolutely love it. And every day that a woman realizes how dope and amazing she is, I have done my job every single time.
How about it?
I have done my job.
And you have done it many times, my friend.
And I think we all believe and all know all of humanity flows from a black woman.
Hello.
I'm just going to
Come
leave
on.
it at that.
Right. And there's a good place to leave that.
Absolutely. So thank you so much for joining us today. This conversation was absolutely wonderful. I hope there is someone who didn't comment, however, they still owned their amazing today. I am Crystal Gunn. I'm a black woman, and I own my amazing.
Thank you again for joining us tonight. Thank you again one more time for being obedient to what you've been called to do. Lives get better when you're in the space. Ladies, forever, give them all they can handle. Let them choke on the rest. My name is Michele Harper. I am a black woman, and I absolutely own my amazing.
How do you follow that? So, ladies, thank you for both having me here. I am honored. Thank you so much. I'm taking home a lesson learned, and I'm going to spread the word. I'm going to plant the seed.
Yes.
And then those who are ready to toil, get your tools out and get ready.
How about it?
Those who are not ready, stand in line, go sit down. And when the bus comes back around, we'll come back and get you if the bus is coming. My name is Fajr Strong. I am a black woman, and I own my... Amazing. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
Enjoy.
The Amazing Women Speak podcast, inspiring and motivating every black woman to own, honor, and execute her amazing, individually and collectively, as it was established at birth.